Welcome, Iron Horse Pulling fans. Thought I'd give everybody a little update on how the year's going, kind of what we're doing. As you can see, there's parts laying on the floor, which is not ever a good thing, but it's not a major breakdown. It's just a fix-it type, try to make things better. So we've hooked this thing 4 times so far this year. Performance-wise, we need more poop in our pants. We need better motor in this thing. Their biggest downfall is we don't have enough compression in this motor. And also, there's another thing going on with this class is the head rules. They're letting some heads run right now that aren't legal according to the outlaw rules. And we'll probably have to end up buying a set of those heads to be competitive, but it's quite an investment, and I only want to buy 1 set of heads. So they're not going to make a ruling till the rules until November. And it'll be good luck if you can get a set of heads, because my guy that does my machine work says it's 4 to 6 months out after you get a set of heads and get them in, and have the machine work done on them. So that's where we're at there. So we don't have enough muscle in the motor. So we're trying everything to get everything we can out of it. We've been averaging about 10th, 11th, 12th place out of 20 vehicles, which isn't terrible for this old girl, but we're having some issues with the clutch. And what it is, it's really grabbing. I'm not being able to slip it very much. And as you can see, there's the bell housing. And today I was going to just change some fingers on this, but I'm going to show you guys how these clutches work. So as you see on these clutches, there's these fingers here, and there's weights on those fingers. And that tells you how much force this clutch comes out with. So the goal is that right now there's 4 weights. I've got some of them changed, but there's 4 weights on each finger. And those weights are out here, and they kind of work as centrifugal force. They pull out, and then they push the pressure plate in and locks the clutches up. And this thing is really hard to slip. So we are going to 2 weights on it. And then I've talked to Darren Roush, and we got new stall springs coming for it. So these springs here, they kind of work as a stall, how much pressure it takes to push that plate forward. So we got some new springs there that we're going to get put on. And then we're going to get it, I might loosen it up a little bit. This thing is adjustable to where you can adjust the stands and that kind of stuff. And so it was quite a process getting this thing tore out, but I thought I'd try to change that stuff with the clutch can and everything on it. And after about 3rd time I dropped the bolts, I said, to hell with it, I'm pulling the clutch can off. And which it'll make the rest of the project easier, because we'll be able to adjust the clutch and maybe put a little more clearance in it. So right now you see these discs back here. So there's slop in there. There's 3 clutch discs in there. And in that clutch disc, there's so much clearance in there. And we run about 60 thousandths clearance. And that's kind of the minimum. We might open that up to about 80 thousandths. But the problem is when you start opening things up and then taking the weights out, it might be too much, and it might slip at the end when your RPM start coming down, because with the lack of horsepower we have, this thing is really hammering us at the end. We just don't have the horsepower after the sled box gets to the top of the deal to keep driving the truck forward. It really pulls the motor down. So we are going to try to compensate for that. We're going to put a little more air in the tires. Basically, we're going to air the tires up about another 3 more pounds, just so they kind of stay on top of the ground a little more, to keep the motor up. And the goal is to try to keep the motor up around 8,000 RPM going down the track. So it'll have more of an opportunity to work like it should and spin out. So that's where we're at. As far as the tractor goes, still waiting on the block to come back from the machine shop, but we're going to get this done. We're going to run up to Sac City next Thursday night. We're going to have to hook in the super modified 2-wheel drive truck class up there, but I wanted to get 1 hook on it before we go to Humboldt that Friday night. We'll be in Humboldt on Friday night, the 28th or 27th, I believe, where we'll be running in our actual class. So I'm hoping the guys from Nebraska come over, which I don't know if they will. It's a long pull for them. We've been making our average runs that we've been running. We've been running about 180 miles just to get the pulls. It gets a little old. because there's basically nothing for us here in Iowa for this class. So, but we're hoping with, we've been seeing 20 trucks show up. We've been seeing a lot of good numbers. We got a lot of work to do on the rules this summer or this winter to try to even the playing field out, and just so we know what we need to do and what we need to buy, because a set of aluminum heads are usually about the same price no matter what kind you get. It's the extra stuff you got to do, because all heads don't, you got to have special pistons for certain heads and all this other stuff and different intakes, and you only want to spend that money once and not twice. So so we'll see where things go for next year. We'll probably just put some bigger compression pistons in it and just keep plugging away at her next year, and then decide if we're going to make that investment, because that investment for them heads to be competitive, that Chevy head is competitive. You're looking at anywhere from $13,000 to $18,000 for a set of heads and an intake. Which then again, you look at to the point, why spend that kind of money on a heads and an intake when you can go buy a blower and put a Hemi in the damn thing? Yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for that setup, but you're also looking, this truck is set up to pull, this truck here is set up to where I can put 2,500 horsepower to it in the rear end and it'll take it. Where some of the other trucks in our class, you're getting up there around 1,100 horse. Guys are going to start having trouble with rear ends. They're going to start having trouble with transmissions and stuff like that. And that's one thing that guys are going to have to start watching as they push the horsepower limit on some of these pickups, especially if they don't have the planetary style rear ends. And like I said, this truck here, I'm not worried about ever breaking the rear end in this. Transmission wise, it's probably good for about 1,200 horse, but SCS or Profab, they make one that's good for 2,500, 3,000 horse that fits in the same slot. So that's not a big deal for me, but like I said, the rules just need to be clarified. So I hope everybody has a great summer, and we'll look for seeing somebody. If you at a fair and you see us or a pull, stop in and say hi. Thanks. Bye.